SEGA SATURN SHIRO.
Hey everybody, welcome to SHIRO Show, SaturnDave TraynoCo, joining you for another live show this Friday. What's up, Pat? What's up?
Nothing much, just doing the do.
Doing the do.
Doing the do.
Good. You drinking some Mountain Dew?
I hate Mountain Dew, disgusting.
Yeah.
And that's not a joke.
You're not doing that Dew.
No, that Dew's going directly into the trash can is where that's going. But it's all good. Been doing a lot of Magic the Gathering recently. I've been playing the superior format Commander. I don't know if anybody in the chat or here plays Magic, or if you played it, Dave.
No. I never did get into... I think we were talking about this last week or the week before, that you were having some issues with some of the people in the community or something like that. I've never gotten into it, but I know a lot of people who are. What's up?
Yeah. You don't play Magic without interpersonal issues. It's not possible.
No,
actually, Emerald could be here. He knows the story about the guy explaining every single turn, and the guy playing solitaire and like says it's like, oh, I won it, and it's like, no, wait, let him play it out. He might not win it, and then he ends up friggin' winning it after like what? 10, and then didn't he get in like a screaming match with somebody for like 10 minutes over a card's ability?
I believe they were putting money down on the table in order to argue over the minutia of a ruling on a card with some vagaries in the text, and I don't think it even mattered in the way that the game ended.
Yeah, it was really dumb, and yeah, that's probably the worst Magic experience I ever had. Besides some guy that, yeah.
This is why I play Pokemon. Nobody has arguments over Pokemon.
Same.
You know exactly what's gonna happen.
Exactly. And you were telling me that the same kind of stuff goes down in the Yu-Gi-Oh world. Like with, I don't know, people. You said it was a much more complicated card game, right? And that the rules keep changing or something like that.
Well, the thing is, every card is its own rule book.
Right. Yeah.
And if you can tolerate that and tolerate the people that play Yu-Gi-Oh, it's still probably not as bad interpersonally as Magic.
Right.
But it is very much pay to win, probably more so than Magic.
Oh.
That's why I play the Switch version.
Right.
Yeah, people have like $1,000 plus decks, and it's just sad because like literally there was the first Commander game where I had two people I just did not want to play with and had a bad experience with, and it was like the second time he played it, because the first group we played were good, right? Like they weren't too bad.
So I went out and I bought the Draconic Commander deck for that convention when I came to visit you, because you said, hey, we're gonna be playing Magic.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll check a couple cards in there, because a lot of those decks, I actually noticed the card that was in one of the theme decks I picked up shot up to like $60. Just one card.
Probably it almost pays for itself, basically. Like I probably should part out that deck and sell it, because I never actually touch Magic.
Yeah, what was it called? It was called Draconic.
It was the Dragon Commander, but it was the red dragon deck, where it's like you actually play the dragon in Dungeons and Dragons.
And there was a 20,
Draconic Rage or something.
I think Kay played Magic as well, right? He was big into it, or at least he had a large collection of pricey cards.
Yeah, he was a big Magic dude. Yeah, he was. He said he had a lot of experience playing that, and he has a lot of rare stuff.
Yeah.
So, but he's an OG. I think he sold a lot of it though. Last time I remembered.
Yeah. Well, I would, with the values being what they are, you could help pay your mortgage with some of that stuff.
My goodness.
I wouldn't blame him.
Also, a card in your deck is $7. I'm looking online. It's like Kolieth Unreviled Ancient or whatever.
So what I can do, since they're already sleeved, I can just like go to a card shop and say, hey, can you exchange this for Pokemon cards? And I'll probably just end up trying to get some boosters or some deck building kits instead of holding onto a Magic deck I'm not going to touch.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's understandable. I mean,
or maybe we can like homebrew our own card game on the Saturn and not deal with all this crap.
Nice.
I would be down for that. But yeah, I mean, worst case, just send it to me and I'll give you what you paid for it.
Yeah, next time I'm in your area, I might just do that.
Yeah, we do that, and then I'll get all the cool cards, and then you can buy some Pokemon cards, and it'll be a win-win. I get all your cool cards.
No lie, like I've been to the Grand Canyon 3 separate times since I went to SEGA. So like next time I go, I'll just text you ahead of time. We can just meet up and do the canyon. I'll give you that deck.
That works.
Nice.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, besides that's been pretty good. Like I said, listening to jazz is per usual. Just chilling out at nights. I've been really sleeping badly, but you know, I've been like going to bed like at 2 a.m. every day, but I need to fix that. What
well,
about
that's
you,
why
Dave?
you're sleeping badly. If you're going to bed at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
oh,
I need
man.
to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Daylight savings has screwed me up on that regard too. I went to sleep last night at 2 a.m. and it's not because I didn't. It wasn't being responsible. I was in my bed at 11.
Yeah, well, I'm with you there. It's mostly my kids that are having a hard time with the adjustment, but it affects me obviously. Yeah, I stopped going to bed so late because that was killing me, and I was sick in the middle of that, so it was like being sick and being tired all the time made it difficult to want to go to work and do anything. But yeah, so because I would be up late playing, you know, whatever on the Switch, and I'd lose track of time. So yeah, I had to start like being a little bit more conscious of when I was going to bed, because I'm not 20 anymore, and it's not like, you know, especially if I've had alcohol, you know, then it's like I wake up just feeling trashed. So but yeah, so we've got Emerald joining us, and that's cool. You've been absent for a while, Emerald. I think, have you just been really busy with work?
Yeah. So I don't think I've taken an RDO as like a roster day off.
Right.
And the way my flex hours work working for the government is that I can bank credit hours to take a Friday off if I don't really have anything important to do that Friday. And I've had important things to do every Friday since, you know, for the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
It was either that or someone was visiting and I was entertaining guests. But yeah, today I actually got all my writing done for my proposals and whatever by 1 o'clock, and I was ready to clock out early.
Nice. Well,
Nice.
Martin says I'm a spring chicken, but that's not true. But I can tell you, speaking of spring chickens, is that we just got chickens.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So yeah, my wife, it's her birthday coming up, and that's what she wanted. So, and it's not cheap, actually. Pun not intended, but cheap. But no, it's not cheap at all. Actually, it's very
cheap.
It's not only the coop is expensive, all the shit that the chickens have to, you know, it's probably one of the most expensive birthday presents I've ever given her, and it's gonna be time and labor putting the coop together and everything like that. But yeah, no, that it's cool. I've got these like 6 little chicks chirping away in my living room. Or sorry, not in my living room, in my kitchen. But I'll be like out on the couch playing video games or something, and then all of a sudden I hear like a little knock, and it's one of them like messing around in that bin, you know, in the kitchen.
Aren't you supposed to leave those things outside in their own hen house or something?
They're not there yet. We're talking like tiny. These things would just die from the cold if we put them outside.
Dave gets all the chicks.
But yeah, so
if you have like 6 chickens, does that mean you have like that's enough for breakfast for a couple people every day of the week, right?
Yeah. Except one of them is a silky, which is kind of like the equivalent of a sheepdog of a chicken, and it's as far as eggs go, it's a joke. Like they're pretty much a pet, but they're always going to be the runt, you know, and they're already getting their pecking order. So you know, there's this one who's like a prima donna, and she just pecks on all the other ones, and it's like, you go here, you do this, I'm the boss, you know. And the little one that I picked, that's mine. She's gonna grow up to look ridiculous because you won't even be able to see her eyes. She's gonna have feathers all over the place. But yeah, she won't give eggs. She'll just look cute. But yeah, no. I mean, Martin asks if there are foxes in San Diego, and no, there are not any foxes, but we do have coyotes, and we have owls and hawks and cats and possums and raccoons and dogs. Bunch of rats. Yeah, animals that would just love to eat a chicken. So I'm gonna have to build a fortress to keep these pathetic things alive. Anyway,
You got this, Dave. But no, that's really cool. I'm excited for you. You know.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I have to save some eggs for me so I can have some omelets.
Sure thing.
You're gonna get sick of eggs very fast.
Well, you know, I don't think I'll eat any more than I don't know. That's I haven't even thought that far. They're not really mine. I mean, That's the thing, is my wife's like all into gardening and homesteading and all that stuff, so I think chickens were just like the obvious conclusion, but it's a lot of work, and she's finding that out real quick.
You got the Saturn stuff, and she has the chickens.
Well, here's the thing.
That's right.
She has the option of divesting from this hobby at any given point by making you a really nice soup.
Yikes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no. But I mean, yeah, because we're renting this place, when we do move, I don't think we're going to be able to move them. I think she's just going to have to board them with someone else, find somebody else who can take them, honestly.
Can you Airbnb a chicken?
Is there let me think. No, there's Billy Hatcher. That's a Sega property, but that's not are there any Sega Saturn games with chickens or eggs? That's a trivia for anybody in the comments. First person.
I think the AI and Knights, they pop out of eggs, don't they?
Yeah, good job. There is a
Nice.
Well, they do hatch out of eggs, and then there is the egg timer, right? That you run out of time and then the egg timer comes after you. Clockwork Knight 3D World, yeah, the third Clockwork Knight puzzle that has eggs in it. Yeah. Oh.
What about all those hentai games? They have a lot of chicks in them.
Shining Force 3, baby.
That's true. Shining Force 3? What are you talking about? Oh.
You need the chicken to get the character.
This is true. Okay, yeah. Good one.
I like it.
We tied it in. We made it fit. Talking about chickens on a Saturn podcast.
So are the dragons in Panzer Dragoon edible?
I mean, you'll have to find out.
I mean, they did slaughter a lot of them, but I don't think they ate them. I don't know. Talking about in Saga, not in, because they tried to slaughter them all in Zwei, you know, and Lagi had to save that pup. Okay, I don't know about Saga though. Yeah, Sonic Adventure. There's a ton of stuff once you get on Dreamcast. I mean, there's a game called Egg, but
it has nothing to do with eggs.
No, it has nothing to do with egg. Well, that's the thing. Elemental Gimmick Gear. You had those games, those Japanese games where the title was just complete nonsense, but it sounded cool.
Yeah.
You know?
I still think my favorite title is Bangai-O is one of my favorite ones.
Right. What does that mean? Bangai-O.
I don't know. It's like a parody on Bang.
Yeah. It's kind of like
I guess.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
I don't know.
Or Naruto. No. But Bangai-O, is it really a parody on Bang? I mean, that makes sense
Bang,
at least.
Like explosion.
Yeah, there's eggs in Shenmue. All right, moving right along. We really need to bring up the browser and talk about news, because here we are, like, just going off. Let's see here.
We're always going off.
We are always going off.
Should we announce a couple things before we go, or
what do you want to announce?
At the end of the show. What were we in terms of the writing stuff? Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to hold off for?
Well, yeah. I mean, I hadn't written up anything or done anything official, but we totally can. It'd just be off the cuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Pat and I, and this is actually funny that you bring it up, because this is something that Emerald and I were talking about before you came on. It was just like doing SHIRO show as a weekly show. It definitely puts a certain load on Pat and I to dig up the news, write it up on the website, and then report about it every Friday and have like a cohesive show. And you know, and Emerald, you made a good point. I mean, Saturn's, there's only so much news. You know, so some weeks it's either feast or famine, right? Really, it really comes down to the fact that I think we need help, at least to some degree. And it may not just be from a news perspective. It might just be adding content to the site, you know. So if that's something that, go ahead, Pat.
I was just gonna say that. I think even if it's not like news articles, like your opinion articles or maybe a thought on something, it'd be kind of cool to talk about, because a lot of our good discussion I like comes from a lot of the Peter's Saturn showcase games, the best of Saturn posts. So, you know, some of that's also really good. So we don't really necessarily need like news writers specifically. You can also write about what you want, sort of thing. Right.
Like I really enjoyed Young Money's article. He submitted that to me. Yeah. I copy edited it and put it up on the site. The thing is, not everybody is a gifted writer, and unfortunately, like we need folks that can write, you know, honestly. So it's like, if that's something that you're interested in, I think we're going to put some kind of graphic together, put out a casting call, and see if folks can basically submit a sample of writing to us to consider. And if it's good and it gels with what we're doing on the website and everything like that, then you could become a contributor to the site, and that would really help us out. I think it would go a long way to providing more content, and it would be more varied content than just like my opinion or Pat's opinion. So nostalgia stuff is fine. Memories, your current experiences, and interactions with Saturn, or Saturn adjacent stuff.
Anything Saturn, yeah.
Yeah, as long as it fits.
Any Sega, really.
Yeah, anything Sega really is good, but I mean, if you can tie it into Saturn, it definitely is a plus. But anyway, yeah, so if it's something you're interested in, something you'd like to consider, hit us up with a writing sample. We'll take a look at it. We'll have Peter, our editor, take a look at it as well. And we'll give it serious consideration. And I'll probably do something more official beyond this, but since Pat got me on the spot, I'm gonna.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I'll beat you up later. No, I'm just kidding, man.
That's cool.
No, I appreciate it. It's fine. It's fine. It's probably best that way anyway, because I'm just telling you candidly what it is. The fact is that with being so busy and everything like that, it's really hard to just sustain it. And it is a weekly thing. So I am impressed at ourselves that we've been able to do it for 52 episodes. But being honest, some weeks it's more of a show, and other weeks it's just more of us, kind of chatting about jazz.
Shiros. But yeah, no, yeah. It's all good. I think people kind of get it and understand it and enjoy it. Like, usually we have solid viewers and they're like, yeah, we enjoy it, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. And I think we got a lot of cool things coming up, and yeah, honestly, it seems like we might just be doing the show and that's it, but we have like a ton of things behind the scenes that we're working on, and it's definitely a lot of work for sure, trying to get everything together. So
yeah.
Well, it seems like we're not doing anything. Things are happening. Trust me. Trust us.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's
trust me. Trust Dave.
And it's also like we're never where we really want to be. Like we're doing our best, but we always want it to be more than it is, and that takes a lot of work. So it's like we're trying to continue what we've already got going on, but at the same time we're trying to look ahead and see how we can build it and make it more than what it is. So yeah. And was there anything else you want to talk about, Pat, or did you want to move on to the news?
I think that's it. We can move on to the news.
Yeah, we can move on.
That real quick.
All right, excellent. Okay, cool. Yeah, so last week we left off talking about Tactics Ogre, and then this has been a slow news week, honestly. But what there has been really cool, and I wanted to start by shouting Hitomi 2500, who early in the week uploaded, and this came to my attention via K in one of the chats we had going on. K was like, check this out. Hitomi 2500 got the infamous, rare Heart of Darkness proto running on real hardware, which is something I really didn't even think would be possible. And it turns out that the solution was kind of simple because of a hardware project, a cart solution that he's been working on since 2015. But I'll talk about it a little bit. So Heart of Darkness was a game that was high profile in the industry. Lots of people were looking forward to it because like Eric Chahi and Delphine Software's Out of This World series did huge numbers. It was huge numbers. It was multi-platform. It did very well. It's been ported to almost everything. And folks were really looking forward to this game because it was promoted on magazine covers and everything like that. We all just thought it was a foregone conclusion we would get it.
Just a hot dog.
Yes, of course, it took forever. This thing took like 6 years in development, kept getting pushed back. Ended up making it on PlayStation, Windows, PC, but by that time Saturn was dead. Thanks, Bernie Stoller. And I mean, thanks, Bernie Stoller. He'd go on to do some good things for Dreamcast and stuff, but I mean, thanks, Bernie. You really did.
And then get let go before it gets released.
You really did shit on Saturn at the wrong time, and I'm not going to mince words about that. Anyway, but fast forward to, what is it? I think it was... I actually don't know whether to read this as October 5th or whether it was backwards, and it could have been May 10th, 2017. But anyway, K, A Murder of Crows, he obtained a copy of that beta prototype disc, and he showed off, this was the 1996 Tokyo Toy Show prototype, showed off a video demonstration running in Yabaos, or Yabaos, whatever you guys want to call it. But essentially, he had to use an emulator that was able to spoof the expansion memory. as you can do. Yeah, because there was no available solution. There never was a consumer cart that went beyond like 4 meg. And this thing needs 6 megabytes. 48 megabits, 6 megabytes of expansion memory.
Jeez.
And Hitomi 2500 said it was also an unusual memory mapping. So it wasn't even conventional in that regard. In order to run it on a stock Saturn. So, but people were still impressed, to see it. And then, of course, his friend Don Russell passed away after a hard battle with cancer, and Kay decided to release, in honor of him, a huge dump of images to the community. He did that on our Facebook page, I believe, back in 2018. And this was when SHIRO was going as a podcast and everything. And that dump's available on Hidden Palace. You guys can click through the article and get it there. Let's see what else. So people tried to get it working with the action replay or whatever, but Hitomi 2500. And I hope I'm saying it. It's Hitomi 2500, right? I think he goes by other aliases.
So, yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So he just posted it early this week that he got it running on real hardware using the Waska cartridge, which, I mean, let's see here. If you go, okay, that's the Waska page. What I wanted to show folks is that if you're familiar, well, that's Cafe Alpha's, hold on, let me see if I can find the actual page where all these Saturn cartridges are. Anyway, Cafe Alpha's around a page, it's like PP Center. Let me see here. I can't find it through this article, but the link is somewhere in here.
It's under there. It's under the image banner.
Oh, okay. Well, essentially, there have been a lot of carts in production, going way back to people using the comms port to just download saves off of the cartridge. A lot of action replays have a comms port on top, and there would be these cartridge solutions that would either use a cable, like a ribbon cable, or even Bluetooth that you could buy through this site to be able to download. And it was very niche, like it was a very niche market, but this was like back in mid 2000s. And then of course there was the Saturn Gamers cart, which was, and also there's been, putting bootloaders like Sudokai on action replays and stuff like that. So this site documents like all the different carts that have been in development, and Waska is one of those cartridges that's been in development since 2015, but it completely like flew over my radar because it was never something available for commercial sale, and it still isn't. Yeah. But Hitomi says that he wants it to be. It's just that they don't have access to the chips right now to like make that a thing. But maybe Cafe Alpha will assemble some, or maybe it'll end up on AliExpress or something like that. But essentially it mimics power memory, it mimics backup, 1 megabyte ROMs for King of Fighters 95 and Ultraman. Someone asked whether it mattered if it was the Japanese King of Fighters 95 or European, but I'm not sure. I think it might be the same, as far as the actual data that's on the ROM. 1 and 4 megabyte RAM expansion. It's also designed to launch any third-party code such as bootloaders like Pseudo Saturn. Future firmware upgrades may even include Netlink support and ODE functionality. It's based on an Alteramax 10 FPGA with external SD RAM, so you can use an SD card in there. And internal NIOS or NIOS 2 soft CPU. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not like super techie when it comes to that stuff, so I'm not exactly sure what that would be doing. But essentially, how he explains how he got this to work was that basically Waska has 512 megabit or 64 megabytes SD RAM memory mapped, so onto CS0 and CS1 slot bus ranges. Those are bus ranges that were used by Saturn games. The CS0 is a range of 32 megabytes that was used for code and data, but Saturn games only ever used 1 or 2 megabytes. Whereas the STV arcade board used the entire range. So when people talk about STV games using more memory, that's kind of what they're talking about. It's using that entire range. And then the CS1 range is 16 megabits that was exclusively for backup carts. But that is where Heart of Darkness is able to store its data, since it emulates, since the cart emulates backup with RAM, automatically syncing to SD card. So I know this is getting really technical, so some people are probably going to doze off during this, but essentially it's cool because this is the magic. This is how it actually works. And it was just, he figured it out, made it possible to do this. And then the promise of this is also that, people, homebrew developers might be able to actually put a game on the SD card and package it like that, because it can provide up to 48 megabytes of RAM or for actual game code, and then the launching of STV arcade ROMs might also be possible. So there's just a lot of potential. Yeah, I think so too. I think it'd be interesting. There's a lot of potential here, in other words. So, despite the fact that it also supports this prototype that nobody has been able to get running on real hardware. So I think that's really cool. Yeah. It was definitely worthy of a shout, and definitely worthy of trying to boost the signal on this project so more people know about it. Because I have my ear to the ground when it comes to Saturn stuff, and I didn't even know about this until Kay showed me, and I was just like, wow, I cannot believe that I've probably looked at that page several times and just scrolled past it because I really didn't know what it was for, But anyway, folks, you have my attention now, and I'll be watching as this develops, and hopefully we're able to see it down the road as like at least a small batch run, something that would be available, because I would be interested.
It'd be really cool if they could make it affordable to put games on there, and indie devs just sell games that way.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think Xenos brought that up. Like, he was thinking, oh, that would be pretty convenient, Well, so
6 megabytes or 8 megabytes is nice, but it is not a full size game for the most part.
Okay, but it was 48 megabytes, I believe. So 6 megabytes was what was required by that specific prototype. But they were saying that you add an SD card to this thing, right?
Knight can answer this question for me, but I don't know what the full addressable size of memory is on the Saturn on that bus.
Is Knight here?
He might be busy or something.
Okay. No, I'm good. I was just going to Discord to unmute it. All right, so with the Saturn, the CS0 gets you 32 megabytes, and the CS1 gets you 16. So you have 48 just raw address space. If you throw in things like mappers, you could extend that space.
Okay, so you could put how fast can you bank switch like that though? Like, would it be noticeable?
It all depends on what you use, but it should be really quick.
Hitomi in the chat said 48 megabytes is addressable directly.
Okay, so if you have 48 megabytes, and let's say you use banks of 16 for like music and sound effects and stuff like that, and you could put different versions of the engine combined with level data, like batches of level data. It would take several banks to get up to the point where you have the same capacity as a CD. Not saying you need the full capacity of a CD, but you will have a different set of limitations. Instead of worrying about how much you can load and how fast you can load it, it becomes from closer to a PS1 to closer to an N64, where you're going to have to design a smaller game, but you have much different size limitations.
I think that's what he was thinking about when he mentioned homebrew games, because like a lot of the games that folks are doing now. So you're right. If you were wanting to make like a cinematic, like Enemy Zero or something, maybe that wouldn't be possible without streaming stuff off of a disc. But like if you're doing like a small bite-sized game, like a puzzle game or something.
CubeCat or something.
Yeah, CubeCat might. I don't know.
Yeah, CubeCat definitely would. Most pretty much any homebrew game definitely would be able to fit in that, if you don't include the music.
Or like really detailed textures.
Yeah, and if we figured out the MIDI problem, which at some point I've been meaning to bug Ponut about helping me figure that out, at least a jury rig version of it, then it would be much easier to do. I think a better mindset to be in is, instead of thinking of this as a Saturn game or a PS1 game, think of it as an N64 game. Think of the limitations that you see in N64 games, and that would be what you would be able to replicate with this machine.
Right, because...
Yeah, it's going to suck, though, that we're not going to be able to take advantage of the CD drive itself. But
here's the thing, though.
Nothing.
So what's the difference between this and a PSK? Like, is it possible to do the same kind of defeating mechanism that PSK puts in as part of the loading code on, say, the CS0 portion of the cart, and have the disc there available for FMVs or music?
Well,
or
PSK doesn't have PSK doesn't have an FPGA or an SD card.
Well, you don't need that part. What you need is the code in the PSK that allows you to boot from burnable discs.
Yeah, I think the issue though is just the price range of that, plus the CD and everything together, and it's easy just to sell it as just have this as a plug and play thing and it works. So selling.
Okay, I see. So if we used Waska as a platform and sold the games as read-only SDs,
that's one of the ideas that's being talked about. And then Waska also boots sudo in addition to any other bootloader. So technically, you've got it'd be kind of like a very robust option, a very robust solution that has a lot of different use cases. I wonder though if the gamer's cart though that supports an SD card. How is this different? I would like to know, how is this really different from the gamer's cart? And I mean, as a layman to all this, that's the thing I don't really understand.
I don't think the gamer's cart has that much RAM built up. Like the amount of RAM here that we're talking about relative to the Saturn is kind of ridiculous. We're addressing the problem as if it's read-only memory, but if we just treat it like extra RAM and played a CD game like normal, you could store so much of the game in 48 megabytes.
Right.
A ridiculous amount. I think the gamer's card is only really there to load up a game normally, which is to say you're using the standard couple megabytes of RAM that you have on the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we could figure out a way to put the games on there and just shove it in there. We could sell like N64 games and
So there was actually a relatively interesting conversation that me, Trekkies, and Knight had the other day regarding what would it take to port Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64 onto the Saturn. And the conclusion was we would need a whole lot more RAM. So like some sort of ROM cart, maybe something like this Waska, to actually import all the sprites in, because the sprite sheets on the N64 are huge, and they can be because they're immediately addressable off the cart.
Right.
So the type of game that you can make with this kind of thing is entirely different.
Yeah. I think
cool concept.
Depending on how easy or hard it is to source those chips and put and assemble these things, that's really the thing. I mean, the gamer's cart, I'm only imagining that it would be at least somewhere in the same neighborhood of cost as that. And again, it becomes cheaper the more they're able to sell and everything like that. So as long as it remained like something really niche, I think that it'd probably end up being a little more expensive. But
I think printing these PCBs would be relatively cheap per unit. The issue is someone has to go and manufacture it and solder in all the memory banks and test them.
Right. Exactly.
We might be looking at $60 games for Saturn, which, I mean, it's going to suck, but I mean, if we can get to 60, it'd be kind of a good deal if you think about it.
I think he actually
60 might be generous.
So he has an area on his page for assemblers. So there's like a little form you can put in your email and basically fill out this thing if you're interested in assembling these things. Because I know he mentioned Cafe Alpha, and maybe somebody else was interested in assembling these things. But there actually was what was it in this gallery right here? You had another dude, I forget who it was, who had actually
Dude McDuderson.
X-Rider had assembled one of these. Maybe a couple, I don't know, but yeah, so there's more than one individual working on this, obviously, but it was really Hitomi's I believe has been working on it since the beginning and was the one who really broke this news. So anyway, shouts to Hitomi. Got your hand in a lot of things, I believe, even games, for the recent competition and stuff like that. So very impressive, and I hope to see more from this. I hope this doesn't just end up being a news blurb and then we don't hear anything more about it. I would love to see this potential lived out. Love to see what happens with it. So yep,
I think I'm gonna put this clip on YouTube. I'm gonna name it N64 games on the Saturn, and like some clickbait thing, get us a lot of views.
That would be clickbait right there. Probably get slapped.
If you really want to be deceptive about it, put the old map test that XL2 had, where he ported the Mario 64, the castle map onto Hellslave Engine.
Send me that picture. I'll do that. That sounds funny.
But yeah, how many megabytes was Resident Evil 2? Was that a 64 megabyte cart? Or was that like 512? Was that like half a gig?
That must have been half a gig, I think.
Okay.
Half a gig. Wait. What do you guys for?
We're talking about N64. Yeah.
It could not have been half a gig. That's insane for the N64. They'd never be able to sell it.
No. Yeah.
Here, let me check my archive. I have a collection of.
I believe Angel Studios Tony Hawk 2 was like 64 megabytes or less, and most of that size was the audio they were streaming, like it was like MP3 tracks kind of.
Yeah,
but like
it was 64 megabytes.
64.
I have 65 meg on my Resident Evil 2
and I mean
ROM file.
That's an edge case, so like they really crammed a lot in there, but you could do a lot with 48 megabytes too.
Yeah,
and you can make a very fast
most
game.
N64 games that I'm looking at, they come in various classes, and I think the fixed size has to do with the chip that they purchased. So I don't think it's filling up that entire 64 meg area. I think they had a 64 meg capacity that they had to purchase in order to put more than 32 in, because I'm seeing 64, 32, 16, 12, and 8 as size classes, and they're all identical sizes. So they're just dumping the ROM, including the dead parts, the zeroed out parts. So if you actually went to a hex editor and found the last zero in the ROM, that would tell you the actual size you'd need.
Okay, so here's a stupid person question, but that's fine. I'll be the stupid person right now. So could your game, if as long as it can fit on the SD card, be like, say, a gig, but you only need to access 48 megabytes at a time, and that's the situation? Like you could stream more data that you need to access immediately? That
is the bank switching that we were referring to earlier.
All right.
Where we would have multiple portions of the chip, 16 megs or 32 megs at a time, differently accessible. The problem with that is once you bank switch, you have to bank switch back if you need to access something differently.
Right.
So presumably the engine of the game and the important bits are loaded into main Saturn bus,
right?
Saturn RAM to begin with, and you got 2 megs to play with there. And then some basic stuff is loaded into video memory, but that's constantly going to be changing, so you can't count on that. Same with sound, you're constantly going to be loading in sound. So what I would do is I would dedicate the 16 meg portion to a compressed audio, maybe like ADX music or something like that, and PCM samples for a certain portion of the game. Mm-hmm. So maybe you won't have an entire soundtrack. Maybe you'll have a level with the enemy sounds on that 16 meg, and then you'll have multiple banks for every different level. For the 32 meg portion, you just load in different visual assets for each level. So in the case of, like, let's say Banjo-Kazooie, whenever you load in the first level, I don't remember any of the names of the levels, but like just one level is going to be a large environment with many different textures, many different enemies. And that will be maybe one bank on CS1, one bank on CS0. You go back to the hub world, you switch banks, the engine is still there, it's still doing its thing in main memory. But yeah, it is totally feasible. I don't know what the limit on bank switching is. I don't know how many banks you can line up. I imagine it would be excessive.
Well, I mean,
banks.
Yeah, to me it sounds like there's a ton of potential with this cart, but maybe it just needs that focus of like, okay, these are all the things we can use it for potentially, and let's try to like follow that and like enhance the design or like refine the design to really like get rid of the stuff that's not needed and really focus on the stuff that is, or just keep it a Swiss Army knife, and have it be able to do like everything. But yeah, no, it just definitely seems like a really cool project that's been in the works for near a decade now, and I'm just finding out about it now.
I mean, it's not super great for homebrew, just the way that we're doing things now, where we're able to give away ISOs.
Right.
However, if anyone were to attempt to monetize Saturn development, this seems like the path of least resistance. In that, Sega Extreme or Saturn SHIRO would sell this as a platform, and then the developers would sell read-only SDs as a plugin.
Cool. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on this project. Hitomi, obviously you're in our Discord and in our community. Just let us know anytime there's something new and interesting, and we'll be sure to take a look and maybe even report on it.
We'll share it out.
Yeah. Next is something that we did already report on a while back. I think back in like October, November, was that Will's console modifications in the UK created a little board that allows you to keep your Sega Saturn CD-ROM drive if you have a Fenrir. So there's a what am I trying to say? There's a 3D print assembly part, and then there's the board itself and a ribbon that it goes with. This is the 20-pin model that he's got coming up, available on, let's see, mark your calendars for Monday, March 21st. If you're interested, you have a Fenrir and you'd like to keep your CD-ROM drive, he's got 40 kits that are going to be available at 5:30 p.m. UK time, or GMT, basically. That's 10:30 a.m. Pacific or 1:30 p.m. Eastern. So if this is something you're interested in, his last batch sold out. So, I mean, there's definitely enough demand. And I mean, he's only able to make like 40 at a time. So his last batch sold out. I'm sure he's going to make another batch, and that's probably going to sell out. So he did.
What's the price?
The price is £45, 45 British pounds.
That's $60.
$60.
Sounds heavy.
In addition to the Fenrir, the cost of the Fenrir, which is currently what?
Is it like 150 or something? I forget.
It's in euros though, so I have to do the conversion in my head, but it's still cheaper.
It's
all of that.
130.
Okay, 130. So that's all of that is still cheaper than getting a satiator, and you're able to boot your games off of a NAS, so over Wi-Fi.
It also allows you to utilize the VCD for the handful of VCD
MPEG games, exactly. Yeah. So
it looks like you need to solder for it, do you?
I think there's one point that it actually, let's check. There's an install. You'll need some very thin double-sided tape to access. And access to the 3D printer. Oh, okay. So wait a second. Maybe he's not selling the 3D. Hold on a second.
So if Martin's correct, 110. Is that 110 pounds? Sorry.
I'm gonna go to the store page.
110 pounds is 145.
Okay, here's what you get. You do get the 3D printed insert, the tray. You get the board that actually does like the toggle switching, and then you get some ribbon cables. So it basically is just a toggle switch between the Fenrir and the board, basically.
Wait, where do you toggle it?
That part is not obvious to me. But
do you have to? Because this looks like one of those solutions where you have to like drill a hole into the side of the Saturn in order to access the toggle.
Yeah,
probably
there is one 5-volt solder location. So there's one wire that you need to basically give it power off the board.
It didn't say anything about soldering though. That's I'm a bit confused on.
Well, I mean, it's showing right here 5-volt solder point connection.
Yeah, but it didn't say anything in the instructions, or maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah.
Am I missing a solder thing?
I know.
Sorry, who's that?
I didn't see who it was.
I don't know. Somebody was talking in the background, but
I think Knight's someone's arguing with Knight.
Well, yeah. So every Saturn is a little different. You know, some have different opening mechanisms and stuff like that. So I believe that this install instruction right here is if you have like a different type of Saturn with a different opening mechanism. But again, it doesn't look like something, if you were able to install your Fenrir, it doesn't look like you're going to have much trouble with this. Maybe one wire that you have to solder for power, but I mean, that's going to be a pretty big, I mean, that's not like you're doing some like really tiny, it's nothing that you're going to need like a magnifying glass for or anything like that.
Yeah.
But then again, I think the kind of person who went the Fenrir route probably wouldn't be afraid to implement something like this. And essentially what you get out of it is you get the best of both worlds. You get your Fenrir and you get to keep your CD-ROM drive. So it's a niche market. I think most people who get the Fenrir are probably just gonna kiss their CD-ROM drive goodbye and be like, never gonna look back. But there is a niche market of people who would like to just kind of have it all. Have the ODE, have the CD-ROM drive, have the VCD card, have the Wi-Fi. There's so much that you get out of this, and who knows? What would be wonderful is if there could be some kind of way to make this like an all-in-one kit. And if he reaches out to SED and like, I don't know, licenses this or something like that.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, and just have it be like, maybe this is just the beginning, for folks who are like willing to put in the work and make it happen, but maybe in the future it might be an all-inclusive kind of like option, to make it a lot easier. And it could be, I could see this being like the ultimate way to go, because even with the satiator, like, and I love my satiator, don't get me wrong, but I won't be able to play like the Lunar MPEG game or any of the other, what is it?
I mean, it's not like you can't play it. You can't looking at slightly worse video.
Right. I guess the way that A Murder of Crows argued against it is it's taking some of the functionality away from the machine that it already had. So if you're looking at it that way and you're a little OCD about it, then I can definitely understand. I mean, it's a sacrifice we're all willing to make if we got a satiator, right? But again, like,
we satiate ourselves.
Yeah, and I mean, again, for those that got a Fenrir, this is definitely something to look at. So anyway, it's there. It's going live. A batch of 40 are going to probably sell out immediately because I'm sure there's at least 40 people who are interested in clicking buy now. So there's a store page link, Monday, March 21st, 5:30 p.m. GMT. And he said,
or not get one.
And when asked about a 21 pin, he said that's coming soon, like soon after this. So right now he's just focusing on clearing these out. And then the 21 pin will be after that. So if you have a 21 pin, just hold on and he'll get to it.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Last but not least is a best of Saturn, hashtag best of Saturn. And we're talking about digital pinball Necronomicon, which I think it's almost been a year now since we did our pinball. Was that a year ago that we did that? Let's see here.
Let me check it. Yeah.
I can click through here and find out. This was
May 3rd, so
May
a little bit
3rd.
under a year.
Yeah, like it's close though. I cannot believe it's been that long. Best pinball game on Saturn, hands down, and one of the best pinball games. I would argue, not the best, but perhaps the best of that era.
What about that pack-in pinball game that came with Windows XP?
Yeah, what was that?
Close second. It's just 3D pinball.
That's good for nostalgia. I know what you're talking about. The standard pinball game. What was that called? Actually, I can't even remember. I just know like I mostly played
3D pinball. I don't know.
Yeah, I mostly played mine. What was it? The Minesweeper. Yeah, I played Minesweeper and Space Cadet. That's what it was. Space Cadet
3D
pinball.
pinball Space Cadet.
Yeah. And a lot of Solitaire on Windows. But yeah, no, this was a 60 frames per second pinball game with John Petrucci doing guitar, at least on the intro.
Yeah, it's a fantastic soundtrack and a fantastic pinball game. I think out of all of them, I think this probably was my favorite one that was on it, even better than that the anime one. And that's a rare thing for me to pick this over anime.
That one was fun, but it was weird. You're talking about the vertical one, right? Top to bottom vertical.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah. That was one that Cameron, I think, recommended to me. Cameron from the Junkyard, and I did like that one. But again, like I think the thing is we were really trying to judge this by like how good is it as a pinball game, not just like a kind of a weird, spin-off. Yeah, that was great for like a cutesy anime game, but I mean this definitely feels a lot more solid,
Exactly. It feels like you're actually playing on a pinball board, a machine.
Yeah.
That's like at your local arcade, which I liked about it.
Yes. I feel like the only thing that could have made this better, honestly, is if Saturn controller, if Sega had come out with some kind of like DualShock controller for the Saturn,
Yeah, just like on both sides, is vibrating as it goes.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna. Oh, go ahead.
I didn't realize that, but the Saturn did not have any rumble feature, and everyone else did.
No, and that's actually one of the things. You know, people love the Saturn, the Japanese Saturn D-pad. You know, and I do too. But one thing that I've always felt about it was that it feels so light. You know, it just feels so light in your hands. And the weight of it, I always felt like you could have added a couple rumble motors and it would have been the perfect like weight. It would have kind of felt like a PS3 or PS4 controller, you know? But because I love the shape and the feel of a Saturn, of a Japanese Saturn D-pad, but I just wish it weighed a little bit more. And I've heard of people like opening them up and sticking like weights in them, you know, just to make them so that they didn't like drop out of your hands. You know? Yeah, well, you know.
So it just drops on your foot and crushes it.
Or, you know, when you get angry and you chuck it across the room, you know that it does more damage. I don't know.
Break your CRTs, break your PVMs.
Now, the 3D analog, that could have supported the rumble. It was patented. We just didn't see the Saturn live long enough to have it.
So you need like a rumble pack with pass-through for that cable that just detached on it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how it exactly worked. Like, same thing like the Nintendo 64, basically.
Right, rumble pack.
It wasn't part of the cable.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the patent. And that would have been amazing.
So that patent's expired. So if we really wanted to make a game that supported that, I think I don't think it's out of the question.
Yeah.
Also, I don't have gamer rage. I don't throw stuff against the wall. I only beat on my legs. Like just punch my own inner thigh or whatever.
Yeah.
So is that like a workout whenever you play Mr. Bones?
Yeah. Let's go with that.
That would be cool. You know,
I mean, I got a leg day from walking from that cemetery, so yeah, I guess so.
You know what you could do though? You could, even a homebrew developer, I think, could pretty easily make some kind of like res clone. I mean, since the graphics are so, you know, they're so rudimentary, right? You know, res uses like non-textured polygons, right? Flat shaded polygons. I imagine you and a bunch of wireframe stuff going on, right? So I imagine like you. Sorry.
The Saturn natively supports wireframe. That's just
right.
That's a render mode.
Exactly.
Wireframe.
Yeah. So you could you could make some kind of like res clone, and then if you were able to work in the motors, you know, that would be cool. Plus the Saturn has good sound. You could make it all chiptune audio, and it would still sound great.
Yeah, I mean this is all nice in theory, and it is all very possible. But like I just want to
temper
everyone's temper everyone's expectations. Like a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is theoretical in nature. Yeah. And just chasing new hardware in the Saturn is a black hole.
Yes.
And that's with me wanting to pursue the Tizen USB cable.
Yes. I mean, that's part of the fun, though.
I think hentai games would be much more fun if they had a rumble feature.
Oh my god.
That's
I mean, I love the idea of exploiting this machine as far as you can, you know. So like that's why I like talking about this stuff, even if it's never going to happen. A lot of the stuff is theoretically possible, you know.
I made a quantum mechanical simulation on the Saturn for one stream, and I don't think I backed up that stream. I think I lost it. I still have the code somewhere, but you can use the Saturn for scientific computation, and I showed that with the right adjustments, it's doable. It makes accurate predictions.
Those SH2s are were pretty fast for their day, you know.
Yeah, I was doing a proper coupled quantum well simulation on the Saturn, and it was coming up with basically the right answer.
Were you using both CPUs?
Basically the right answer.
No, I was using a single CPU. I was doing it very stupidly. The only difference was I was using fixed instead of floats, so I had to make a lot of adjustments.
Right, because the Saturn doesn't support floats, right?
It does in software, but that makes things much slower.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it properly to begin with.
Yeah. Well, the Saturn also supports it supports a lot of stuff in software, but I don't know that you would want to.
Hey, it supports ray tracing in software.
Right. Yeah, it supports rendering triangles in software. You know, but I mean, how many could you render? That's the question. You know.
Yeah. How long you got?
2.5.
How long do you got? So anyway. All that to say that Digital Pinball Necronomicon is a great game, and you guys should check it out if you haven't. it's getting more and more expensive because it carries a reputation that it deserves as like the pinball game to get. So unfortunately, there's only so many copies, but you can play a burnt copy
or a Japanese copy.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. There's only a Japanese copy.
There's only the Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm saying. There's only so many Japanese copies, and all the people from the West. Yeah, it's like all the people from the West are like, I want a pinball game on my Saturn. What's the best one? And it's this game, hands down. So it's like so many people importing reduces the number of copies to go around. So this game keeps climbing up.
I see it buy it now for $30 for Necronomicon. Or is this a? Is this a repro? Is this a repro? I don't think so.
Yeah, where are you looking?
A repro.
What are you looking at?
I just typed in pinball games on eBay. It's a.
I thought it was like a $65 game.
It looks like $30, but I don't know.
That's a good deal.
I still don't understand selling repros for the Saturn because you need a PSK to run it anyway. So you're buying. I understand buying the box and the manual. I don't understand buying the disc.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think maybe it's just people want something to put on their shelf. But again, like you said, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But and again, now with OD
chat though.
Yeah.
20 buy it now from Japan, it looks like. Is this just the manual? Yeah, it's just the manual. What the heck? No, it's a full game. What the heck? Yeah, oh, that's the trial edition. That's why. That was trial edition. Oh yeah, 75. I see it.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I think it's worth $50 if you're collecting. You know, like if you're collecting and you're serious about doing a Japanese game collection, it's like worth $50. But again, it's just going up and up and up, and it's like with new consoles and everything like that, it's a tough dilemma. Do I buy new games? Do I buy like 3 new games, or do I buy one Saturn game? You know, so
it's a pickle.
I understand where you're at, Pat. Was you're like, I'm just done, you know. Like I got what I got, and
yeah, I got Castlevania, I got Imaginite Rareath. What else do I need at this point? Is there?
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any other game that I absolutely positively need that's gonna kill my wallet. Like the only other game I could see is maybe Initial D or maybe the Soccer Wars special editions, but those things are so cheap. They're like it's like a dime to get all of those things.
I bet if Snatcher was in English, you'd pay over $100 for that.
I pay over $1,000 for that day if you don't deny my love for Snatcher.
And it's not even the best version. I mean, and I'm coming from a Saturn fan, I still feel like, I mean, okay, that's my opinion. Don't shoot, but I think that the Sega CD version is better. I haven't played. Okay. Police Knots is on PC 88, right, or PC 98?
Yeah.
Did Snatcher receive a version on PC 98? Chaz would know. Yeah. Chaz would know that right offhand.
Chaz, the game master. But yeah,
I like the art style. I like the art style of Police Knots on the PC 98, like those really chunky pixels, you know.
Exactly. I really like PC 98 stuff, and it's not because half of them are hentai games.
Right. You know what I'm talking about though, right? Like as a Police Knots fan, it's got that aesthetic. It's got like all those cool like aesthetic colors. When it jumps to the Mega Drive, it's good, but it kind of when it jumps to like 3DO Saturn, it kind of loses something, I feel. And I still love it. I love it on PlayStation and Saturn, but when I look at screens of like those crisp pixels on the PC 98, I'm like, man, that looks awesome.
In all honesty, though, I think the worst version of Snatcher has to be on the MSX.
Oh yeah,
it's not even a complete game.
Oh right, yeah. It's I haven't obviously. I mean, I've emulated MSX a couple times, but I haven't played that for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a sadness. The funny thing is, fun fact that I forgot what his name was, something Urbina, the guy that did the 240p test suite.
Yeah,
Artemio worked on that translation, which I thought was kind of funny.
Really?
But it makes sense.
Huh.
Yeah, he's in the credits. Artemio Urbina is in the. If you play the MSX version of Snatcher, his name is in the opening credits.
No way! Wow.
Opening page,
I had no idea. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is cool.
If you got a Mr. PC or a MSX, go boot that up, the translation, and his name is in the credits or the opening scene.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Retro Hour, they just dropped a podcast interviewing Robert Leyland. I figured people would be interested in that. Our own Nick Pandemonium did an interview with him on Gen War, and look up Retro Hour podcast. They just released an interview with Robert Leyland talking some of his older stuff, Toe Jam and Earl, older stuff on the Genesis, Amiga, stuff on the Saturn, and then on the PlayStation. It's an interesting interview. I listened to it today. It was pretty cool. So folks might be interested in that if you like developer content, developer interview stuff. He kind of bagged on the Saturn quite a bit, but at least
Yeah.
But I was talking to Nick about it. How it was all like the truth for developers back then is different than the truth for developers now, right? It's not like they're really being hard on the Saturn. It's like they had a lack of documentation, they had a lack of tools, they had a subpar graphics library, so it's like as hard as it was, like they're being completely honest what it was, versus PlayStation back then. And of course, like now in hindsight, 25, almost 30 years hindsight, we look at it a little bit differently because we know that you could do transparencies. It's just not as straightforward as it was on the PlayStation. But yeah, an interesting interview. I really enjoyed it. Anything else we want to shout or plug before? Aside from we gotta thank our Patreon supporters.
Oh yeah, I should probably get that link up there. Honestly, I think I'm really excited for our stuff that's upcoming. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff that we got going on, and I'm excited for the project that hopefully is going to be coming up fairly soon. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping for the magazine.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see. I guess Peter gave you proofreading responsibilities.
Yeah, I'll go through that. If you could send me like the issue of it, I'll go through the PDF.
Sure.
And I'll make notes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I will. I think that's pretty much in the bag. As soon as we just make sure that there's not a single, I've gone cross-eyed looking at that thing now, so I need somebody else to look at it. And as soon as I can say, yeah, we don't have any errors or anything like that, it's ready to go. It's ready. We can get it up on. I don't know if we can do some kind of timed exclusive thing for our Patreon supporters, so they have it. But I did kind of intend, or we did collectively intend for the PDF to be just kind of a free thing for the community to enjoy. So I figured we have an archive.org account, SHIRO does, and we can upload it there because they have like a nice little interactive magazine viewer. That would be cool. And then like for anybody who wants a physical, I think it's going to be like $10 plus shipping. It might be $10 in free shipping in the continental US because we could probably do media mail. But yeah, if it's gonna go across seas, then it's definitely gonna be like $10 plus shipping. Because we, while we're not looking to get rich on this thing, we definitely don't want to like be out of pocket any significant amount.
Yeah.
Can't afford to be.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's just the way it is. But we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, let's shout out our patrons: Emerald Nova, Johannes Fetz, Blue Moon 95, Derek aka A-Team, Memphis, Nutrageous, Snooky Trev, and of course Young Money Sweet. And if you want to be shouted out on the show, if you back us at the $10 and above Patreon level, you will be shouted out on the show live and get a lot of cool other perks like early videos, early Pandemonium videos, early SHIRO content. So you get a lot of good stuff, and Nick's video on his on Virtua Cup's pretty much wrapping up at this point. So that should be kind of fairly soon, so you'll be able to get that early once he launches it and everything. So that'll be really cool.
I'm looking
so if you guys
to
want to watch some early Pandemonium content, and I would recommend backing us on Patreon and or at least give it to his Ko-fi page. I think he's still doing it for that. I'll talk to him about that and we'll get that sorted. But yeah, if you don't want to back us financially on like Patreon, you can also buy a shirt from our Threadless store. We have a lot of cool designs. Dave's got some neat designs up for the SHIRO show, like CRT TVs, show shirts, and cool other funny shirts like the Shigata one or the PCB one. So if you guys want to back us in that way, that'd be great. And if you can't back us financially for whatever reason, you can also like, subscribe, comment, share us out, ring the bell for letting you guys know when we're live. And of course, sharing our content on Facebook, Twitter, and all those other places, and telling people, hey, check out this awesome podcast show where they talked about a CD drive thing, or a cart that can play N64 games, or give them some clickbait advice, like things like, oh, hey, look, they found a way to play N64 games on the Saturn. Whatever could get them in, do it. Okay, maybe don't do that, but just be like. But I guess essentially it shows out, and because every view helps, every like, comment, subscribe helps us out and gets to more people. So thank you again for doing that.
Yeah. And again, if you would like to contribute to our website, you think you're up to it, either digging up news and writing news articles, or sharing retrospectives, thoughts on the gaming industry, thoughts on Saturn, as long as it's somehow Saturn adjacent. Feel free to submit a writing sample. You can submit it to me, to Pat, or to Peter, and we'll get it to each other and we'll take a look at it, because we are kind of like opening that up to try to hopefully get some more contributors involved with our website. We're hoping for some people who've got writing skills, people who are able to speak their mind in a cohesive and entertaining kind of format. If you didn't, if you dropped out of high school, I don't know, you could still submit a writing sample. But I mean, again, we are looking for people who are like serious about writing and serious about like sharing in written format for the blog. So, and anything you write is something that potentially Pat and I can kind of talk about and kick back and forth on the show. It'll be extra content,
exactly.
And it'll help. So again, yeah, feel free to submit a writing sample for that. And we'll definitely consider it. And aside from that, we're just going to remind you that you must play Sega Saturn. And
play Sega
peace
Saturn.
out.
Peace.
Until next time.
SEGA SATURN シロ